Toxic masculinity has been a big topic in recent years. It's something that is often debated quite emotionally. It has reached a point where men don't know which masculine traits are toxic and which are healthy. Hajime no Ippo is filled to the brim with masculinity. Every type of masculinity, if you know what I mean. But let's be real for a moment. Masculinity can be viewed from many different angles. Many of those angles are reflected in Hajime no Ippo. I'll show you the difference between toxic and healthy masculinity. Before we continue, let's look at the definition of toxic masculinity. According to the Cambridge Dictionary, it means ideas about the way that men should behave that are seen as harmful. For example, the idea that men should not cry or admit weakness. I think that you and I already don't qualify for toxic masculinity, because basically everyone cried at least 10 times while reading the manga. Remember the I'm not broken moment? Yes, me too. Umezawa's apology? Yep. So let's take a look at Ippo for example. This is an easy one. Ippo is a straight arrow and shows respect to everyone and anyone. Well, as long as they don't attempt to knock out his first love or disrespect his coach. He helps his peers and students with their fight preparation, he helps his mother with the fishing business, he's a good student, and he's respectful and reserved towards women. According to the definition, he's the complete package and personification of healthy masculinity. He builds people up and is a good example. And don't forget, he's like this even after becoming national champion. He could have spiraled out of control on an ego trip, but he didn't. He's slowly getting more confident, but is basically the same good dude. But does toxic masculinity even mean being a bad human? I don't think so. I think there is certainly a line between being toxic and healthy, but the label is thrown around too loosely. In this article on WebMD, the writer mentions risk-taking and stoicism as toxic masculinity traits. I get that they mean that forcing men to be those things would be considered toxic. But it isn't as black and white as that. Risk-taking is an important aspect of achieving success. Takamura risking his health by starving himself down to junior middleweight is a very risky task. He could have gotten liver damage, for example. He did this for his goal of achieving 6 world titles. And stepping into the ring is a risky undertaking in itself. Boxers risk their lives every time they step into that battlefield. Some fighters have died in the ring before. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. Don't make me cry, Joe. So saying that taking risks is a toxic trait is not an accurate statement. The same goes for stoicism. Being stoic or unemotional is necessary sometimes. Takamura is known for his stupid jokes and bullying of Aoki. Those can be considered toxic, I agree. But even someone like him locks in during fight camp and focuses on his training, without a single complaint or a single negative word out of his mouth. He's so focused and motivated that he elevates the people around him. He doesn't do this with empty words. He's always leading by example. So even Takamura the loud beast has his healthy traits. But outside of boxing, he's a complete demon. I would be weakening my argument if I talked about his extracurricular activities. So let's move on. But what about Sendo? Would you label him as toxic? Because as far as the definition goes, his hot-headed and straightforward personality would definitely check many points on that toxic masculinity list. Sendo believes that a man has to fight strong men. That's what he wants for himself. He's always very energized and almost aggressive in the way he talks to other characters in the manga. The reason why this behavior might be considered toxic is due to the intimidation one might feel. Sendo's personality couldn't be more perfect for a boxer, especially for an infighter who never backs down. Talking about only fighting strong men on your way to your 9 to 5 would definitely be suspicious. But in his case, it's 100% warranted. Not to mention his past. He lost his mother after he was born and grew up with his father and grandmother. They always taught him to protect those around him. When he was still young, he lost his father as well. He died in a fire rescuing a boy who was about the same age as Sendo. Sendo looked up to his father. This made him grow up to be the person he is now. He wants to help others. In school, he constantly defended other students from bullies. He even helped his grandmother run her shop. What this means is that Sendo became exactly what he needed to be. His circumstances demanded strength. This isn't toxic masculinity. It would have been toxic masculinity if he demanded a specific, conventionally manly behavior from his peers just for the sake of being manly. It's like wearing a camo jacket and then belittling others for not having such masculine and cool drip. It would be a completely different scenario in a military situation. As a soldier in the field, it would be stupid not to wear camouflage. What I'm getting at is that it will be never black and white with a topic like toxic masculinity. It is easy to label someone as toxic just because a specific behavior intimidates you or rubs you the wrong way. But in a healthy way, there are circumstances that warrant those behaviors, especially in a martial arts scenario. I'm obviously not even talking about the straightforwardly destructive characteristics here. Bullying, for example, is a no-go. Hajime no Ippo takes a strong position against bullying anyway. I'm more so aiming this video at more ambiguous masculine attributes. One day, you will encounter a situation where you won't be sure anymore whether your reaction is right or wrong. Am I toxic when I do this or say that? That's why it's necessary to consider the social context and circumstances before making a judgment. If you want to be strong, be strong. Help others and lift them up as you go forward. As long as the path behind you is clean, you don't have to worry about the noise. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next one.